number one. Now, we've got to begin to unpack that master plan. And we've seen that one of the agencies that has actually taken a proactive step to this is the Ghana Police Service. If you see the Ghana Police Service, maximum 23,000 men and women, that was the figure that we ought to have had in 1991. Okay, so almost 20 years on, we have considerably less police officers than we ought to have had 20 years ago. Now, that poses veritable challenges. But the administration has told itself, look, the oil is offshore, 65 nautical miles, but immediately a crime is committed on the platform or around the platform and arrests are made, that becomes a policing matter. Okay, so why don't we begin to understand the dynamics around the oil and gas industry and establish, I guess, what they call a maritime patrol?
Better than cream cheese and bagels, better than honey on bread, better than champagne and pretzels, better than breakfast in bed, better than chili rellenos, better than chocolate eclairs, better than hothouse tomatoes, better than fresh bartlett pears, better than dining a la carte or simply gastronomic art, better than anything except being in love. So much better, better than anything.
Learn seriously, play seriously, win seriously, work seriously, relax seriously, invest seriously, smile seriously, love seriously, dream seriously, live seriously, stay connected wherever. Serious speed, serious service, serious savings. iBurst Africa, serious internet.
Is this the police or is this the armed forces? Is this the Navy? Is this not the Navy?
No, the Navy will provide general protection and security for the rigs, the transportation.
Right.
Okay, production of oil and transportation is one of the most crucial and the most sensitive aspects of this industry, particularly when it's an offshore thing. So they would prevent the guys who would do the bunkering, that is the theft of the oil from the tankers that are legitimately empowered to carry the oil.
So that's an area of risk, obviously. Big risk.
It's a very big risk.
Where they steal the oil?
Where they steal the oil. So let me, for the...
Who would be, sorry, I'm interested in this. who would be stealing the oil? The produce? I mean, I'm quite, or is this just a syndicate?
It's a syndicate. Now, when you talk about lack of external threats, we are beginning to see the influence and the impact of transnational organized groups in this country. And quite a number of our neighbors, right down from Senegal all the way to Angola, some with oil industries, have criminal gangs who have expertise in oil bunkering.
So out there, you mean they'll come with boats?
Yeah.
And then the oil that's on the tankers for sale, they fuel, they take some of it.
Yeah. But you see, it is not as simple as that. I have a tanker that legitimately has 100,000 tons of
barrels,
oil. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, probably the production cost and the cost of the oil in my tanker per barrel is, say, $45 before it hits the international market. Okay, there may be a couple of crooks on my vessel who then decide, look, David, why don't we cut a deal? Instead of me selling it to you or having bought it from the rig at $45, give it to you at 35. Okay, so you are making a profit of $10
Per barrel.
per barrel, and if you can siphon about $70,000, that is a big bucks. Now, taking into consideration the fact that this country is awash with guns, and we are not talking about the locally manufactured ones now. We are talking about fairly decent, sophisticated.
You are saying this country is awash with sophisticated weapons.
Yeah. I mean, if Boko is anything to go by, and the resources in Boko do not match in 100 million times the resources that will be seen offshore.
Offshore. Then you can.
Then we also so we can begin to see the ramifications of those who have oil. Because of this rhetorical, hospitable, kind people, we are beginning to see people with, or groups that have fairly radicalized views about the use of violence to attain political means beginning to transit in this country. I'm talking about Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb. Now, when Mutalab was arrested here, is it the underwear bomber?
Yes.
Yeah. The presupposition was that this fellow, well, came from wherever, Yemen, and wanted to rest and stayed here for 2 weeks. I would want to look at it fairly differently.
This is the gentleman who was responsible for
the Christmas
the bombing
attempt, yeah. Bomb.
Where?
In the United States.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And he was arrested in Ghana.
No,
He came through Ghana.
He came through
Yes,
Ghana.
he came through Ghana.
And I think stayed for a couple of days.
Yes.
Now, people just want to take that as well. He just stayed for a couple of days.
You are saying there was a
and moved
reason
on.
he was here.
I think there was a deep reason. Now, if you go back a couple of months earlier, 2 members of Akim, that is Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, had been arrested in Ghana, 2 Malians, and had been deported to the United States.
These are Al-Qaeda
Al-Qaeda operatives.
operatives.
Yeah. Now, we know that Al-Qaeda operatives have been quite active in West Africa for a long time, dealing in gold, in diamonds, and fairly high-value goods and services. Okay? So now, if you add the 2 who were arrested earlier on, and we don't know how many have passed through or stayed here that we haven't arrested, and you tie in the Mutalab case, I think it doesn't provide compelling evidence, but it says, look, we've got to be careful. How much training are we giving to our agencies? How much funding are we providing them to ensure that with our partners, we'll be able to prevent what may happen in the future? That is the challenge that I think we have now. And I think it's useful that this conversation begins in ways that, A, the policymakers and the policy drafters begin to understand this. We are going to be a veritable magnet because of this oil and gas industry, both for the good guys, but probably many more bad guys.
Yeah. And the only way to deal with this really is to be ready for it, you say, to be prepared for it. It's training of people, it's providing them with equipment, with gear.
But also changing the mindset of our security and intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
More often than not, we look at security and intelligence through the humanitarian lens.
Yes.
Okay, that, well, David, look, I know you very well. You've committed this crime. Look, let me give you a couple of very dirty slaps. And probably
What are you saying? That we don't enforce it enough? We don't take harsh enough measures?
We take harsh enough measures, but we don't look at those measures through a rational choice analysis. You see, you and I make rational choices. The criminals make even more rational choices. That there are calculations, they calculate the risks involved, but most certainly the incentives for taking those risks. Yeah. I'm afraid to say that not too many of our security analysis and responses take such a hard-nosed approach to understanding the threats, both the old feeding on the new that this country is facing.
What institutions would be responsible for preparing these people? The Kofi Annan Center where you work is one, I would imagine.
No, actually not.
No, it isn't. It's basically peacekeeping training.
Peacekeeping training and research. Now, when I joined in 2007, I came with my experience from the African Union as head of the African Union's counterterrorism strategy.